Hello, this is Carol from Carol Ann Creates. I'm recording this little video for the Mosaic Christmas Carol and doing my part 8, which is the country church here. It's a free pattern. You can get the written part of this pattern and the chart on my Revelry site, which there's a link to it below here. So I'll just get started and show you how to do it. I'm just going to start this off with chains, and first of all I'm using colour B, which, as you can see down here, is the green one, and the B here means it's your border stitch as well as using row colour B there. And I'm just going to start off by chaining. It's a 48 stitch repeat, so I need to chain, plus there's one extra as well, so I need to chain 49 plus 2 for the border stitches there. There are a number of other ways to start a pattern, but I'll just get back to you about it when I get to the end. Well, I've just done my 48 chains, 48 plus 3, but because I'm doing chains, I need to do an extra one for that turning chain. And also, my chains were done in 4.5. I'm using DK yarn, so I should be using a 4 here. The first row on the pattern is single crochets, as you can see there. So in the second chain from my hook, because I've done that extra chain, I'll do my single crochets for the first row. I'm just getting to the end here of that first row, and I'll just show you the what happens when I do the last stitch. So this is overlay mosaic crochet, so you always cut your yarn, and then I just pull through one chain and then pull it right through. And I like to pull towards my work and I'm tight, so I think that actually helps to keep this side nice and straight. So I've done row 1 there, so I'll just mark that off. And the next row is in the colour A, so just a slip knot on my hook there. So I'm just going to do the first border stitch. Border stitches you can do them in a couple of different ways, but I'm just doing the basic one where you just go just do a normal SC there in that first stitch, and then it's in the back loop all the way along, single crochet. And of course, for those who've probably already worked this out, this is in US terminology, not UK terminology. I just finished off row 2. I'll show you how I did that when I get to the end of my next row here. So on row 3, basically what I did was I mucked up that row, so I'm going to do this row, do it again. I'm not very experienced at doing these videos, so you have to forgive me for that. Now I'm back to colour B again, and starting off on row 3, and go under to do the border stitch, and go under the under the whole thing. What do you call that? The 2 loops. So you go under the 2 loops on the top to make the border stitch, and then row 3 there's 6 single crochet. I use this old-fashioned method here of so I can know where I'm up to on the chart. So that's 4, 5, 6, and then a single crochet. A double crochet. The double crochets go into the front loop from the row below, which is the same colour as the yarn that I'm using now. It's not always the same colour. In this pattern it is, but in other patterns it's not. And so there's another 6 single crochets. Then a double crochet and a single, 3 doubles. So you have to make sure you're going to directly underneath there when you're doing your double crochets. Another single, and then another double. So I'm missing that one there, or I've just done the single and I'm going into the one next to it. There. So I've done the 3, the 1, and then now it's 2 single crochets. And then a double. Then it's 3 singles. And then a double. So that's right, so that's 2. So done the 3 and the double. And it's 2 singles, and a double, and another single, and 3 doubles. Another single, and then another double, and then it's 6 singles, and a double, and then there's 5 singles, so if I was making a blanket, this would be the end of the row. So then I do the last stitch there, which is another single. These red lines here and at the beginning there, that's the repeat. So if you're doing a blanket, you keep repeating that, and you just do this last stitch at the end of the row, which is another single. Now I'm onto my border stitch. So again, I go through both loops there and just do a regular single crochet. Cut the yarn and cut it longer if you're wanting to have a fringe, and then just do a chain and then pull it right through. And I like to pull it tight close towards my work, which keeps the side nice and straight. So there, I'm on now row 4, back to my collar A, So the border stitch through both loops there, and it's 6 double crochets. And then it's a single on top of this DC. Then it's 6 more doubles. So colour A is the background colour here. Sometimes it looks like it's, when you're doing a double crochet, that it's really pulling up the loop there, but it does go back. Afterwards. And so then there's another single, and then a double. Just have to get my yarn here. Now it's 3 singles. And a double. One single, 2 doubles. One single, 3 doubles. One single and 2 doubles. It's a lot easier to know what your stitches are after you've done the first couple of rows, because obviously I'm doing the singles into the DCs here and the doubles down into the SCs from the previous row. Now it's 3 singles. One double, one single, and there's 6 doubles. Normally I crochet quite slow, but if I did that, this video would take forever. And another single. And another. There's 5 doubles. And then again, I'm doing, because I'm at the end of the row, I'm doing that last stitch, which is a double crochet. And the border stitch as before, through under both loops, and it's just a normal single crochet. Cut the yarn, and it's like a chain, and then pull through. And pull your yarn close towards your work. There we are. So now we're up to row 5. I was going to keep marking these off, but unfortunately it makes the table wobble, and which is my camera here is attached, which is only my phone, which is attached to the table, wobbles all over the place. So now row 5 in the border stitch as before, and then there's 6 single crochets here into the back loops of these DCs. And then a DC. I just have to sort my yarn out here a bit. And then another 6 SCs. And a DC. And an SC. And 3 DCs. Another SC, another DC, two SCs, one DC, 3 SCs. Another double, 2 singles, and another double, and a single, now 3 doubles, and a single, and a double, and then 6 singles. It's just like the last row. Basically you're doing your single crochets into the DCs from the previous row and your double crochets. Actually, in this case, they're down into the double crochets from the previous row, 2 rows before. So again, I'm doing that last. Here, there's 5 single crochets, but because I'm at the end, I'm doing the last one there, and then the border stitch. So now on to row 6. And it's backed with colour A again. So it's a border stitch here, which is a single crochet. Now on this row, it's this is two double crochets. and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 singles. Now I'll just show you on the written pattern how it says that. So we're on to row 6. So you've got your 2 double crochet 2, single crochet 9. So if you're following a written pattern, this is how you can just obviously see how many to do there. And again, it's by the number of repeats that you're doing for your blanket. And then at the end of this one, there's a double crochet at the end and a border stitch. So I've done my 9, so I've got to do 2 double crochets here. And a single, and 1 double crochet, 3 singles, another double crochet, 1 single, 2 doubles, one single, and 3 doubles, sorry if I'm moving out of camera here. It's a bit hard to try and stay in focus. Another single. Normally I'm sitting on the lounge doing my crochet, and 2 doubles, 1 single, 1 double, 3 singles, 1 double, 1 single, 2 doubles. This bit here is where it's the tree part that's starting to get defined here. And so then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, again, 9 singles across here. And then there's the last stitch of this repeat is a double, and then there's the last stitch for the row, which is also a double, and the border stitch. So I'm ready to start, I've just done row 6, so I'm ready to start row 7 now, and with the colour B again. So there's the border stitch, and 3 singles, and there's 7 doubles, And then there's 3 singles. So the first one is here into this, as you can see there, it's into the single from the last row. And then the next 2 are into the doubles from the last row. And there's another double. And 5 singles. And a double. 2 singles. And a double. And now 3 singles here. And a double. 2 singles. And a double. And then it's 5 singles. And a double. And 2 singles. And now here we've got one of each for a little while. 1 double, 1 single, 1 double, 1 single, another double. This was to make this tree look a little different, so they're not both exactly the same. Another double. A single. And a double. And the last single, and then the last stitch of the row. It's another single. And the border stitch. Now row 8. Some of you are probably doing Diagas, Beba blankets border stitch, which I like to use as well, because it saves you doing that row of single crochet if you're doing a border. Now it's 3 double crochets. So it's good to look up, if you're wanting to do that, to look up her 3 magic steps, I think she calls it. And that's a terrific way to do the border stitches. Now I've got 7 single crochets. And you rather than having to count, I can see that they're all on top of these ones here, so I can just do them all straight on top of these DCs. Quite often I look at the previous row. It helps a lot with working out where your stitches are and saves quite a bit of counting. And now I've got 3 DCs. SC and 5 DCs. Oops, my yarn has gone a bit crazy here. Now a single, 2 DCs, and 5 singles. And 2 DCs. Another single and 5 DCs. I'll have to do something with my yarn for a second. You might have noticed I hold my yarn a little differently to some people. I'm not comfortable with this method, so I just prefer to do it like this. So everybody's a bit different, so whatever suits you. So I'm up to there, 1 single, 2 DCs, and it's all the way across this tree here are singles. Now I don't need to count because I can just know to finish at the end of the tree on the last DC there. So it's the last one, so as it is there, so I know that's the last SC. And then the last DC of the, and then this final extra stitch and a border stitch. Now going back to my colour B, and the slip knot, and I'm on, this is row 9 now. And it's 4 SCs. And 5 DCs. And then it's 4 SCs. One DC, 5 SCs, which are just across those 5 DCs there, so I know when to finish without having to count them all. One DC, 3 SCs, 3 DCs, 3 SCs, 1 DC, 5 SCs across these DCs here again, 1 DC, 3 SCs, 1 DC, 1 SC, 1 DC, another DC, and then an SC, and another DC, and an SC, and another DC. And 2 SCs for the end of the repeat, and then 1 last SC for the end of the row, and a border stitch. Starting to shape up now. Onto my A yarn, the background yarn again. And now I'm on to row 10. Border stitch. And 4 DCs. And then there's 5 SCs, and again I can see there just these 5 across the top of the DC, so I don't even need to count. If it was a longer group, you don't need to count if you can see that they're just going into all of those DCs. And 3 DCs. And here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 8 SCs. Three DCs. And 3 SCs. 3 DCs. And again, it would be 8 SCs because it's a mirror image of the other side. And 2 DCs. And then SCs, again, because it's all the way across onto that last DC there, I don't need to count, I can see. So that was the last DC, and then I've got 2 DCs to finish the repeat. And then 1 more DC at the end of the row. And then border stitch. Okay. Now, row 11. Border stitch. And then 5 SCs. Three DCs, which is in the middle of the tree here. Yeah, you can see that's in the middle. 4 SCs. Two DCs. And that's 5 SCs. One DC. 4 SCs. And 1 DC. So it's a good way of checking your work along the way. That you haven't missed any stitches. I can see that that's the center stitch there, and yes, it ended up in the center there. So I haven't missed any stitches. So it's 4 SCs here. Another double. And then it's 5 SCs. Two DCs. I wonder how many people actually watch the video all the way through. Because once you know how to do it, you really don't need the video. But we like to do them anyway because a lot of people are beginners So it's 3 SC. I'd like to watch a video. 1 DC. 1 SC, another DC. 1 SC and another DC. So in this little section, you can see from the picture, you can tell whether you're doing it correctly because you've got these little boxes in the middle between the stitches. So it's 3 more SCs to the end of the repeat. And then the end of the row stitch. The reason there's an end of a row stitch is just to balance out with the beginning of the row. And in this one, it's because it's quite different all the way over, but you can see there's 2 stitches there at the beginning before the pattern starts. And then having that end stitch gives you 2 stitches here at the end before the pattern starts, just to balance it out. And if you're left-handed, there's a little note at the bottom here that that shows you to work from the beginning, from column 49 here up to column 2, and then you do this one at this last column here, column 1 at the end of the row. But that's the note on the bottom for people who are left-handed. Okay, so changing to my colour A. And it's row 12. I know having this ruler here is an old-fashioned, or it looks old-fashioned or analogue way of doing things, but it works for me. Because I do have an old tablet, which I'd like to get one of those Knit Companion apps on, but it's so old it won't actually take one of those apps. So I need to get myself a new tablet instead of using this method. So I've got 5 DCs there, but for the moment this method works until I get around to getting myself a tablet. And 3 SCs. Four DCs. And then 4 SCs. And then it's 3 DCs. Two SCs. Oh, is that right? Yes, I think 2 SCs. I just lost concentration for a minute there. So 3, 2, yes, and then there's another 3 DCs. One SC and 3 DCs. then 2 SCs and 3 DCs. And 4 SCs. And then 2 DCs. And then it's SCs across here until, so it's till the one after the last DC this time. So this is in the last DC, so there's one more, then there's 2 DCs, and then another one for the end of the row, and a border stitch. Now back to colour B. And row 13. So border stitch, and 1, 2, 3, there's 6 single crochets, and then 1 double, which is the center of the top stitch of this tree, as you can see there. And then there's 6 singles, so don't forget this is a free pattern. It will remain free as well too. And there's 3 doubles. The whole cowl is free. So there's I've got another pattern in this cowl as well, which is the garland, Christmas garland, which is part 2. And 3 singles. 2 doubles, and 7 singles here. And then 2 doubles. And 3 singles. I've got this set up, my phone is recording this, and I've got a very makeshift setup here. And then there's 3 doubles. And with elastic band, can you believe elastic band on a top of a, holding my phone to the top of a lamp. Looks weird, but it works. I haven't got to the point of getting any camera equipment because I haven't done many videos. So that's one single, and I don't know whether I'll continue with doing very many videos. And that's 3 singles I meant there. And now there's a double. Oops. A single. A double. Another single. Another double. Another single. And the last double. And 2, oops, 2 singles in the end of the row stitch. And the border stitch. Back to my my yarn's in a bit of a mess here. My other yarn. Sometimes it's sort of at the end of the ball, so sometimes it's coming from the middle and sometimes it's coming from the outside edge. It's a bit messy. So, row 14. And there's 6 double crochets. A single and another 6. Another 6 doubles, I meant to say. So that's 5 and 1 more. And then 5 singles. One double. Again, you can always check your work as you go along, because I can see that this double is at the end of these 3 stitches there, which is those 3 stitches there. So I know it's in the right place. And there's 4 singles. And 3 doubles. Four singles, one double, and 5 singles. And 3 doubles. And again, it's singles all the way across to the last DC from the previous row. that's just in the last DC. So then it's 2 doubles, and the last stitch, and a border stitch. So row 15. Now that is how many? 15. That's 15 singles there. Border stitch. And 15 singles. So I've just done my 15 singles there and 3 doubles now. Three singles. Two doubles. Three singles. And two doubles. And three singles again. And three doubles. Saying this 3 singles and 3 doubles reminds me of this TV show, this quiz show on TV where they get consonants and vowels. So now it's 6 singles. One double. Oops. One single. One double. One single. And another double. And then 3 singles. And the last stitch of the row. And the border stitch. Back to my Missy yarn colour A. Now we're on row 16. So that was 15 SC, so I know that these DCs are going to be 15 DCs there because they're going into all those SCs. So it's a border stitch. And I'll get back to you. So I've just done those 15 DCs. And now I'll do 5 SCs. Oops, losing the yarn on the end of my finger there. 4, 5, 5. 1 DC. Again, it's another way of checking because that's the end of the pink there, and it's like on my line, works out the same here. And that's 7 SCs. One DC and 5 SCs. Six DCs. And 5 SCs. Three DCs. And the last one for the row is a DC as well, and a border stitch. So row 17. So there's going to be 18 SCs there. So I'll see you when I get to the end of those. So I've done those 18 SCs. So it's 2 DCs. And 4 SCs. When there's a long stretch of stitches like that, there's no point in putting you through having to watch those. 1 DC. Again, it's another way of checking. This is the middle stitch. As you can see, that's kind of the middle stitch there. And it's the middle stitch here, so I've got that right. And there's 4 SCs. Two DCs. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 SCs. I'll see when I've done those. So I've just done those SCs, and it's a DC here, another SC, and a DC. Again, I can check that I've counted correctly with those 10 SCs because these last 2 DCs, they have to be sort of in the centre of this tree here. So they're in the centre part. And I've got 4 SCs at the end. And then the last stitch for the row. And a border stitch. So back to yarn A. And row 18. So what is that? That's 11. There's 11 DCs there. I'll see you when I'll come back when I've done. So I've done those 11 DCs, and there's one SC, because we're getting up to the stars here, and that's what that's for. And then there's 6 DCs. And across here is 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, actually, I might have a look on the pattern. On row 18, it's 13 SCs across there, so I'll get back to you after those. So I've just done the 13, and I know that's correct because you see the last one ends on those 2 DCs there, and so is it. That's what I've just done. So there's 6 DCs. Then 1 SC, 3 DCs, and 3 singles, and then 4 DCs. And the last stitch for the row, which is a DC, and then the border stitch. So now we're up to row 19. So I'll get started and I'll see you when we get to the middle part here. So that was 22 SCs across there on row 19. And so now I'm doing 5 DCs in the center here. And now there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me have a look on the written pattern. It's 15. There's 15 SCs there, as you can see. Row 19. There's 15 SCs there before I get to the DC. So I'll see you when I've got to those. So I've done those 15 SCs there, and now there's a DC, which is the very top stitch of this tree. So you can tell, if you've counted correctly, that it goes into the top of the tree as it is on the chart. So then there's 5 SCs. And a final stitch of the row, and then the border stitch. So back to, for row 20 now, back to yarn A. Border stitch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 DCs. I'll see you when I've done. So I've just done those 9 DCs, and so now there's a SC and a DC and a SC and a DC. This is the little area for the stars. There's 2 stars at the top of this pattern, or star-like things. And SC, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 8. Well, might as well stay to do the 8 DCs here. Just don't like to bore people with these long stretches of stitches. But you can always fast forward through this little video. So I don't really need to count these because I know that they go up to that the last one is just before these DCs there. So now I have to do 5 SCs. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so it's another 8 DCs on this side. Then there's a single crochet, then a double. I know that I've counted correctly because that's just, I can see this space here. It's just before that space there. And there's a single, and then a double. You kind of get better at using charts as you go along. A single, and then there's 2 doubles. And there's a single, which is the very top of that tree. And then there's 5 doubles. And the last stitch of the row, which is another double and a border stitch. Now, row 21. So that's 11 SCs there. So I'll come back to you once I've done those. So I've done those 11 SCs, and then the next one is a DC in the middle here. And then I've got SCs right until I get to this part that to those DCs from the previous row, so I won't even bother to count those. I'll just work until I get there, because I'm pretty sure my stitches are all correct. When you're new at doing this, it's a good idea to count things, but after you've been doing it for a while, you can kind of find other ways to avoid counting, I suppose. So now I'm up to where these DCs are. So I've got 5 DCs to go into there. And again, I'm not going to count these because I know when I get here, that's where the DC is going to go. Some people cross-check with the written pattern on the chart to save counting. You know, you can look at, see what it says on the written pattern for these longer stretches of stitches. Oops. As long as you're confident that you've got the right stitch count. Now I've done those SCs. I'm up to this middle one here, and that's a DC. And then the rest are SCs. So I'll see you at the beginning of the next row. So up to row 22 now with yarn A. So I'll do the border stitch first, and then there's 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, so there's 8 DCs here. And there's one SC, then one DC, and then 3 SCs, and one DC, another SC, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 DCs. Which again takes me up to those DCs were on the previous row. Sorry, my yarn keeps getting caught up here. And then there's 5 SCs across the top of the church here. And then 3, 4, 5, 7 DCs. 2, 3, So there's an SC, and then a DC, and then I've got to untangle. I get these knots every now and then in my yarn that are not really knots, they're just bunches of tangles. Now there's 3 SCs. One DC, one SC, and DCs to the end. So I'll see you at the next row. Here we go, row 23. I've done my border stitch and 10 SCs at the beginning of the row. So I'm now up to these 3 DCs here. And then it's SCs right across till I get to the 3 middle stitches there, which I'll show you when I get there, how to sort of recognise that. I try and avoid counting, as I've said before, wherever I can. So I can see that they start 1 stitch in, so it's 1 SC there, that last SC, and then it's 3 DCs. And you can check, and it's a good idea to check when you get to these parts just to make sure it's correct. So I can see that there's those 3 in the middle there. And now it's SCs across again. Again until I get to these 3 stitches here, which is where those DCs are going to go. So it's SCs across here. So I could have counted those, but I looked at the pattern, the written part, to see. That's just easier to do it this way. So I'm up to that little area. So now I'm just going to do my 3 DCs. And then it's SCs to the end. So I'll do those, and I'll see you at the next row. Okay, so we're on to row 24. I've done the border stitch and those DCs there. There's 8 of them, I think there was. 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, 8 DCs. So I'm up to this part here. So that's 1 SC and a DC and 3 SCs. And then a DC, and then a SC, and then DCs. I'll just double check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 DCs until I get to those middle stitches again. So even if I've just counted those just to make sure that I haven't missed anything. So now I'm up to those 3 stitches, so it's 3 SC. And then it's 3, 4, 5, 6, it's 8 DCs. There. Sorry, I think I keep going out of the screen here, but it's because have to hold my work a little bit further away than what I normally do. So it's that's why I keep sort of going outside the screen. There we go, 2, 4, so I've done 8 of those, then there's a single crochet, then a double, and 3 singles, and a double, and a single, and then there's DCs to the end. So I'll see you at the next round. So row 25, I've already started and there's 11 SCs there. So I'm up to this DC in the top of the star here. So then there's SCs all the way till the centre stitch there. So again, I'm not going to count them. I'm just going to work them until I get to the middle of those 3 stitches from the previous row. So there's 3, I'm up to that middle stitch there, so that's a DC. And again, I'll keep doing SCs until I get to the middle of these 3 here. On that stitch counting avoidance pattern that I didn't realise I did it so much until I did this video, but I think I do it a lot of the time. But you can, there is a trap, because sometimes you can discover that you've missed a stitch, and sometimes you get a bit too far and figure that out. That's why it's good to check along the way, wherever you can, so that you've got all your stitches right. So I'm up to that middle stitch here again, and then it's SC to the end. So I'll see you at the next row. Well, I'm up to the next row, but I just wanted to show you how nicely it's all turning out here. So it's I think it's a cute little pattern for a country church. So we're now up to row 26, and I've done these, I think there was nine DCs across there, and 1 SC, 1 DC, oops, one SC. My phone's telling me that the power's low. I think I've actually forgot to switch the plug on, but it's on now. 1 DC, another SC, and DCs until I get to the center stitch. So I'll just see when I get there. So I've just done that center stitch there, 1 SC. There's 10 DCs on either side here, and I've worked my way across to there, which is to this part on row 26. So the next one is an SC, and then a DC, and a SC, and a DC, one more SC, and then DCs to the end of the row. So I'll see you on the next row. So row 27 was a whole row of SCs, so I did that, and the last row now, row 28, is almost all DCs with a couple of SCs in there to allow for those little star tops of those sparkly bits around the star. So I've done the first lot, and I think that was there. There's 11 of those. And then there's an SC here. And then it's all DCs to the next one. And you can, without counting, you can tell because it's right above that center stitch there, like it is here. So you work your DCs all the way across to that, do the SC, and then DCs to the end. So I'll see you at the end of the line there. Well, I've finished that last row now, and so that was across here. You can see from the written pattern, that was 11 DCs, 1 SC, and then there was 25 across the middle there, and then 1 SC, and then there was 10 DCs here, and one more DC for the end of the row, and the border stitches, of course. So that's just to show you how it turned out. So I think it's, you see that clearly? I think that's quite cute. So I hope you like this. Don't forget you can download all of the patterns from all the different designers for the Mosaic Christmas Cal, and I hope this has been helpful and you've enjoyed making this pattern. Thank you.